You good to go?
Good to go.
All right. One
Allez
week
les
to go.
bleus.
Yeah. Ooh. Bonjour. Bonjour. Welcome.
Bonjour. Oh, it's
lovely
a
to be
beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's been very hot. Though today it's quite mild, but got my water bottle.
Would you like some of my water bottle? I'm happy to share. That's a thing that we do as human beings.
That's
isn't
okay.
It?
I'm happy to share my blue.
I don't. I
Water
definitely
bottle?
don't want your blue.
You
water
don't?
bottle.
Okay. But we've got some beautiful blue jerseys on the desk here too.
Yeah.
Nearly the end of the Tour de France. It's gone so quickly.
Has flashed by just like that.
If there weren't Olympics and there weren't Tour de France Femme coming up, I think I'd be almost in mourning.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
what next?
Really?
Yeah.
You have wall-to-wall cycling like all year, and you're feeling you're bemoaning a lack of cycling.
No, I'm saying if I didn't have those, I would be.
Oh.
Because we were also, Merxie and I were like double screening with the Women's Giro.
Yeah.
And now it seems almost quite vanilla to just watch the men's.
Well, yeah, it's good to have the variety.
It is.
Coverage of the women's. You
Yeah,
enjoying
yeah.
it this week? It's been.
It was tremendous.
Yeah,
History for Australia. We got a stage win with Neve Bradbury. Unbelievable.
It's amazing, and it's
So
lovely
good.
to be here in Paris. This is the last week. Obviously, we'll be here. New settings next week. Heading back to Australia, of course. Are you coming back quickly?
I'll
before-
come back, give the kids a little smooch, and then back I go.
and then nip back over to France.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For
that's
the
fantastic.
Olympics.
Yeah, going over for the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Okay.
why I chose that accent. Alas.
It works. Bonjour!
John!
Merxie, you well, mate?
I'm good. I'm
Just,
good.
Just have a little bit of
You like,
cream cheese on you.
you like my hat?
Yep.
The French hat?
It
You look
is-
fantastic.
yes,
What do you call it, a
beautiful,
beret?
a beret.
A beret.
It's wool.
Yeah, lovely.
That's
It
quite
is,
good.
it's
Lovely.
beautiful.
Might.
Well, let's get out of the blocks with some news today. We're going to talk about water bottles. We're going to talk about food a little bit.
We are.
You've got a suspiciously and too blue theme happening as well, and I'm not even going to let you. No, well,
Look,
you do
I'm
what you
about
want,
to
but
transition into green and gold for the next,
yeah.
foreseeable future.
But
And
yeah,
so I'm just...
You're not doing blue because of Les Bleus. Let's just be honest here. Like,
No, it's just a beautiful link. It's because it's state of origin and New South Wales is going to crush the Maroons. That's all.
The big question: can Jai Hindley make up the 45 minutes and I think 50 odd seconds
Is that the big
required
question?
to steal the tour?
Well,
from
look-
Well, we got to find an angle that's not Pog, haven't we?
He could. I mean, I don't think Cavendish will get there.
You don't think he's going to do it?
No, he's approximately 4 hours and 20 minutes down. Currently about to go into the big mountains.
That'd take a lot of ducks.
That would.
Yeah.
Uh,
A lot of bags of chips.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a very unusual final week coming into the tour because there is no flat stages left, no sprinters' days left,
Okay.
and normally they're all just hanging on in the final week to get to the Champs-Élysées. They've had that ripped away from them.
Yeah. Not everyone is as disparaging of the end of the. Well, look, it's only temporary. It's obviously to do with the
Oh.
Olympics and whatnot. But is it as sad as?
The reason that this year I think is turning out to be sad because it's going to be a spectacular finish,
Yeah.
but for the first time in this year's tour, we
Yep.
have something genuinely edge of seat because stage 16, Girmay goes down hard in a roundabout toward the end. And where I'd written preemptive, I jinxed him. I'm so sorry, Binny. I'd preemptively said on my show notes, it's going to be very difficult for him to get beaten
Yes.
for that green jersey. That is now not the case because Philipsen, well, he's come good, hasn't he? And in winning the stage and taking the 50 points, he's now perilously close to Girmay. And they don't have any sprint finishes left, but what they do have is intermediate sprints. So it's gone from we're watching history unfold for Girmay is we hope we're watching history unfold.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
For Girmay. It's now a very tight race. But what I love is that 17 stages in, we've had wins from 10 different teams, which is really cool.
It's lovely variety.
It
Yeah.
is.
Unlike the state of origin where we mostly have wins from Queensland, it's been really good to mix it up in this year's Tour
Sorry,
de France.
I'm just checking what's the score in the 3 matches?
I'm
so
moving
far?
on.
24-16
Yeah.
overall in
It's-
series wins. Not that anyone's counting, but look, 33 points for the green. Where are they coming from for our Binny?
Well, so what you have even in the mountain stages is the intermediate sprints. Some of them are a bit further progressed, but for example, in one of the stages, it's 20 kilometres in, so it's about 20k of not too hard terrain. They can get 20 points there. So if Girmay, now he's been cleared of any fractures, and they say he'll be
ginger,
okay.
Though. He was ginger.
He was.
Yeah.
He's got some stitches in his elbow.
Oh.
If he is struggling, and often you have quite a tough day, 1 or 2 days after a crash, and Philipsen is getting those 20 points at the intermediate, it'll make it hard. The other compounding factor of that is that a lot of the guys are racing hard just to make time cut.
Yeah.
So, we've seen it with Cav before, just to make time cut. Fred Wright, who entertained us last year at the Tour, Right Said Fred,
Indeed.
he missed time cut earlier on in the Tour. So
he was just too sexy. He was too sexy.
Too sexy for this Tour.
Yeah, he was.
What they're going to have to do is sprint for that intermediate sprint like it is the finish line, and then go up big mountains. So it will be their teams. It will be the hardest day. Like, forget UAE.
Yeah.
The hardest day will be Alpecin, De Koning and Monte Gobert into Marseille. That team has the longest name because they have to get them through that sprint, do the lead out, but then also shepherd them safely over the mountains within time cut. And I think that's something to remember, is that people think, oh, then they just roll to the finish. No.
No, they don't.
They have a clock ticking, and we have seen in years past, you might remember Groenewegen when he first came back. Sorry, not Groenewegen. I'm lost for his name. Merksy, help me out.
Lance Armstrong.
No,
I don't
our
know.
sprinter, Jakobsen.
Jakobsen,
That's
of course.
where I'm at.
Fabio.
Yeah, Fabio, where Jakobsen was barely going to make it, and he had the team cars cheering. He had riders from other teams helping him to get to the finish in order to make the time cut. So
Incredible.
that's probably the biggest
That
risk.
sounds like a little bit of solidarity between teams, which we don't always see. That's something we're going to discuss at some point. But I just want to, if you don't mind, and I didn't really think it was Lance Armstrong then, by the way. I just say Lance Armstrong whenever you're asking for a name. There is a big bag of oats, a lot of potatoes, Mars bars, dates, bananas, honey on the desk at the moment. And the task that you are describing is one that will require some fuel for our riders, Kate. So what's going on with this pile?
Well, we could sit here and talk about how dominant Tadej Pogacar is.
We could.
I actually said to Merksy a few days ago, he looks a bit off on the podium. I reckon maybe he has COVID, and Merksy was really not impressed with that comment. But I thought that he was starting to look a little bit shaky. What's emerged is that he has been having some issues with his fueling strategy, and on one day in particular, it was quite a hot day, wasn't able to get all the food on board and really struggled toward the back end of the stage.
Yeah, okay.
And the thinking around fueling and food has changed really significantly from when I was racing. And you might say, well, that was many years ago. Yeah, it was a decade ago, but it has changed more in the last decade than I think probably in the 50 years before that. What they're saying now is that the riders need up to 120 grams of carbohydrates. In fact, it's sort of as much as they can get. So, but up to 120 grams per hour of racing.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah,
to give a bit of context to that, what I thought we could visually represent here and describe is what that looks like for, say, stage 18. So we've got some honey, because you're going to need 5 tablespoons of honey.
Okay. You haven't made, that's just sure.
It's just, good old Manuka honey.
That's fine.
We've got 5 bananas.
Okay.
You need to get those down. 3 potatoes.
Skin and all.
You can cook them up if you like. If you want to bite into them like an apple, you're weird, but okay.
Tough to do when you're
we've got 4.5 cups of oats.
Yep.
Oatmeal. 5 Mars bars, because why keep it to white carbs when you can have a Mars bar?
All right.
Special Lamington edition I've got for the podge.
That's appropriate.
Because,
Pride of Australia.
Pride of Australia / New Zealand.
Pride of Brisbane, actually.
Pride
the
of
Lamington.
Brisbane, where it was first made. And look, I'm a very caring person, Joel.
Sure.
I'm quite concerned about their gastrointestinal health.
With a diet like that, makes sense, yeah.
And so I had the choice of raisins, half a cup of raisins, but what I've instead done is some dates.
Oh, that makes so
Just
much
to
sense.
keep it all moving.
Yeah.
But they would want to proceed with caution.
I thought you were going to throw like a colonic, like a proper,
No.
No, irrigator in there, but no.
No. And on top
Yep.
of this, they'll also need about 15 water bottles.
So that's
Okay.
that's on the ride.
That's
not pre-ride
correct.
overnight.
No.
That's madness.
So
You'll
this-
be eating your pasta for breakfast.
Yeah.
Probably with a couple of yogurts because you need some protein and
Yep.
a little bit of fruit and coffee. This is on the bike. You need to eat the equivalent to this.
And that's
Per
all coming
stage.
in like bars and whatever, the equivalent of all that packed into little magical bars
in
and
either bars,
gels,
gels,
yeah.
but now they're doing a lot also really carb-loaded water bottles.
All right.
But it's interesting to think because I thought I'm going to go to the cupboard and see what we have to fill that need.
And you had all of that in the cupboard?
Because I did, except the Mars bars,
Okay.
I purchased those.
Yeah.
But if you're riding, we're ostensibly training for the Brisbane to Gold Coast, and I say ostensibly because we are riding it, but whether the training is
Yeah, I
going
haven't done
on
another
is
training session
potentially
yet.
debatable.
Yeah.
But we'll be on the bike for 4 hours.
Yes.
We will need to fuel.
Yeah.
And we can either go to a bike bug and buy things, or we can say, no worries, we'll just chuck some stuff in our pocket. So this is how much you'd have to chuck in your pocket.
Will we have a team car on that Brisbane to Gold Coast?
Why not?
Team
We need
trolley.
a team car.
Yeah,
at
or
least
at the very least, we need some Swannies on the side of the road.
I talked to Jude.
Yeah, I think Jude's available that day.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So it does take 4 hours riding, and I'll spend the other 4 hours walking, so I can carry some food as
Yep.
well. That's incredible.
We'll pre-cook
But,
the potatoes, but it is really interesting that it seems so simple.
It's
you know?
interesting though when you get to that, like something like Pog, who's the titan that he is, struggling with that in this event at this time of year. This is the one that you circle on the calendar. Like, is this an anxious thing for him? Is it nerve related?
Yeah, it's a good question because when it was happening and the commentators were talking about it, and then the next day, all of the kind of cycling social commentators were chatting about it. I said to Merksy, that's not an excuse. When they prepare so meticulously, it seems like a no-brainer. But if you look at the human side of it, and if you look at this load of food here, and you think about what I've just described, it is incredibly difficult on your body to take on board, like logistically to even get it all on board, but to digest it, to keep it down, especially while you're hunched over while you're racing on days that are like stage 16 where you probably could have had a 3-hour nap and not missed much, fine. But when they're in the mountains, when there's so many attacks, when do you get the chance to eat? So it's actually really difficult, and I think they do know and they do their best, but it also only takes a couple of missed bottles in feed zones and they're in all sorts.
Okay.
And Mars bars aren't gluten-free, just saying.
I know, which, Merksy, that's why they weren't in the cupboard. That's why I had to purchase
That's
them.
right,
But
I
the
have a
children,
potato.
the children will.
pleasure.
And how wonderful we could find Mars bars in a supermarket in
Right
France.
here in the middle of Paris.
Bonjour.
Lamington
Bonjour,
flavour, no less.
I'll swap you a Mars bar for a baguette.
I'm surprised Merksy approved the expense for a non-gluten-free option, but that's all right.
He hasn't yet.
It's all about sharing
Sore point.
here on the Wheelhouse Podcast.
Yeah.
It's not always about sharing in the peloton, though, Kate. No, I'm interested in this because you've mentioned the heat. We know it's hot. We know there's crashes happening. We know that there's attacks coming from cyclists and spectators alike. We also have a bit of a lack of charity.
A lack of
charity,
Yes.
it would seem.
Well-
I'm going to have a sip of water right now.
The
Would you like to shareth from the cuppeth that giveth?
there's very kindeth of you. I have my own water bottle, but
That's
if
okay,
I run
that's
out,
fine.
I do expect you to share because
I'm
that
just
is just
making the
humanity.
point. Merksy offer
Yeah.
stands if you want
Please.
some. That I'm more than happy to share my water, and I've been careful to only drink from one part of the cup. Doesn't matter.
Well,
Point here is that apparently the riders and the teams are getting a little bit cagey about this.
so watching the Giro, Merksy and I noticed that other teams, Team Cars and Soigneuse on the side, were handing out bottles to rival teams, other teams, not just their own teams. And Merksy asked me about it, and I said, that is the right thing to do because especially when it's such hot conditions, you should give them water, fluid, whatever. And all of the teams have enough spare bottles and enough bottles made up that you should be able to do so without compromising. Now, I mean, the question is, if you're a rider taking a bottle from another team, you don't know if it's water, carbohydrate, drink, Coke, whatever. So it's a bit of a mixed bag of what you're going to get. But I think it's common decency. Then flick over to the tour.
Yeah.
Oh, snatchy.
As in snatching it back.
Like not like hand out. Rider goes to take it.
Yeah.
Soigner, it's Cofidis rider, Intermarché, Soigner, snatches it back, won't let him take it.
So the rider actually gets mitts on bottle.
Well, is just about to physically grab it, to which the Soigner realises not his, snatches it back.
I have massive issues with this. I think in sport in general, the idea of competition is that you have it as level a playing field as possible for everyone to operate at their best. And you see it in other sports. Let's say, for example, a player goes down in a football match or something like that, and the closest medical, qualified staff trainer, whatever, happens to work for the other team. That trainer will not ignore the player who has gone down because they're not on their team. They will go and see if they're okay. It's a more extreme example, sure, but hot mountains. What's that? That is really, really shit.
Yeah, it is. And can you imagine the scenario where Visma Lease bike don't give Pogacar a bottle when he's clearly desperate for a bottle? And you don't ask another team for a bottle unless you really need it.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't give it to him. Then Jonas wins the stage and Pogacar really struggles, dehydrated, whatever. What is Visma Lease bike then going, yeah.
Are they celebrating that?
Like they shouldn't, right? And I use these teams for the example because how ridiculous. They're so professional that there's this underlying humanity about it. So I think it is absolutely crap that Soigneurs are not.
I just think it needs to be a rule. Honestly, I think we've spoken a lot about gamesmanship in the peloton and stuff. If there's a crash and people maybe not having the ethics to stay and wait for everyone to be back in whatever, that's probably a little bit different mid-race. But this is a health concern.
They used to have, and they still do in some parts of the race. Vettel was a sponsor at the Tour, and a moto with lots of red bottles on it.
Yeah.
Kind of the colour of Merckx's beret.
So they had style.
The moto
basically.
riders, they look cool. And so they were always spare bottles if they needed. But the race is so spread out. And so if you don't have access to that, I'd like to think that they do that. And on the smaller races, they don't. So they don't have that moto with the spare bottles.
Is the argument, okay, so if you're with Jumbo and another team, you're not having my water bottle. Is the argument that every team should have someone with water or whatever the fluid at every station? And then the question is, why don't they? Where are they?
Yeah, and you can see the business argument for it. We're our team, we look after that. We use our bottles, our water. It's their job to do that. But I think because of the health concerns and because of the heat, and I think that the business argument should come second, not first.
They do need a heat protocol. It was
They do.
40 degrees.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they have a heat protocol in terms of sometimes they might shorten a stage. But also the thing that I think cycling gets a little bit wrong is because they're so beholden to the broadcast schedule, they race in the heat of the day.
Yeah.
So they could race a lot earlier in the day. They could actually race later in the day because the sun is up for so long over there, and then do transfers in the morning rather than after the race. There's different ways to think about it. We're just
Absolutely.
Whether they should share bottles is like scratching the surface of what Merckxy points out. The
Heat protocols, I think they're in place in a lot of other sports, and it makes a whole heap of sense. But anyway, I just find that gobsmacking.
Outrageous.
I would be absolutely spitting chips, or in this case, throwing them at anyone who denied me a water bottle while doing a tough.
What? Not an
ride.
octopus?
Maybe a like a tuna fish.
Not a shark?
Or what about a 1988 4X gold beer can? They were a bit heavier back then, and so heavy that you couldn't actually stand on them and crush them with your shoe. They were that hard and firm and solid. And anyway, why are we talking about projectiles?
This is a great segue, guys.
Thanks, Merckxy.
Well, of course, there was a fan at the Tour de France who threw chips, crisps, to be clear, potato chips, not French fries. How ironic. Potato chips into the face of Pogacar.
So he had
and
a packet of
Jonas
chips and he
Vingegaard.
basically upended them, or sort of lunged them, you know.
Yeah, he ran
Correct.
next to them.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Now, to the non-educated viewer, it's normal for fans to get up close.
Yeah,
However,
it's a thing.
throwing chips is not okay. And I would say it's not just the chips. I mean, if it was, a food you liked, if it was a jelly snake, still not okay. Throwing things is not okay.
You catch it in your mouth.
But they
and you-
did, look, they caught him,
Yep,
the gendarmerie.
yep.
They caught up with him. They're a good lot they are.
They tried to interview him immediately.
Too boozed.
Couldn't do it.
Nope, had to delay it for a day because he was too intoxicated to be able to do an interview.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he didn't have enough water.
No.
He needed to drink more water.
He would have had a very big headache the next day. And I think a very salient point that Merksy made as we were watching this unfold, he's a fan. He's gone there, made all the effort, paid the money to go there to watch.
Yeah.
He hasn't gone there maliciously. I mean, so
Can't handle his booze.
he can't handle his booze. So I think they need to really consider, look, they're adults, you shouldn't have a booze ban, but, there also should be some guidelines.
No, I agree. I think it's...
Why, just a slight tangent here, but why are people so stupid? Why do adults need to be told that on a hot day, drinking a bucket load of whatever his poison choice was is going to end badly? Like, really?
Yeah, I just...
Have we not evolved past that? No, I know the answer to that. We have not.
But like you say, this guy's probably booked in advance, been looking forward to it for months, whatever, paid a heap of money and just got a little bit excited. It's potato chips today, and I hate to be that doomsaying type, but this kind of behaviour and what we saw in 2021 and we've seen many times since, ultimately could result in that side of the sport not existing anymore. That up close and personal as the riders come
Yes.
past, that being banned and there being
Idiots
barriers.
ruin it for everyone.
Yeah.
But he got charged with aggravated violence. That's not insignificant. Like, who
No, it's
wants
not.
that on their record? And, sorry, but you're going to feel pretty stupid, aren't you? Like, oh, yeah, can't come into Australia when you tick the criminal record box. Why? Aggravated violence from throwing chips at a bike rider.
I mean, maybe he knew that Pog needed to fuel.
Yeah, well,
He
I was
trying
going
to
to
get
say,
some
yeah.
potato in.
You know what? That's
been a good
actually,
argument.
that
There's your
makes
potato
sense
quota.
to a drunk mind.
Yeah, it does.
Give him
Here's
some
your
carbs.
Yeah,
carbohydrates.
Sure.
He's probably got COVID as well.
And to be fair, he's probably done him a little bit of a favour doing it in crisp form, because if we would have thrown this at him, actual potatoes and a banana, which is very much like a throwing knife if you get it right,
Yeah. If you got this in your noggin,
a bop in the skull from a potato.
bop in the head,
That's the
that
sort
would
of thing
hurt.
that's like, okay, we're introducing barriers overnight, fans. Thanks, Wheelhouse.
Yeah, the
for
high
that.
high barriers. Now, I was like, does this happen in other sports? Like, this is so strange.
Well, okay, try and go and watch a game of football, soccer in Europe. Go and try and watch a game live in somewhere like Madrid and have a few beers. Good luck to you. You can't, because they don't serve alcohol in most of those stadiums because of exactly this sort of shit.
Yes. Well, now I'm questioning whether they serve alcohol at the ice hockey stadiums for the Stanley Cup, because
they do.
They do. They very much do.
Yeah.
Buckets.
Go the
Bucket.
Islanders. Yeah.
Well, when I was looking into who throws what sporting events, ice hockey will blow your mind.
Yeah, it's something else.
The Detroit Red Wings, they started a tradition in 1952 that still happens, that they think it's good luck in the playoffs to throw octopus onto the ice.
Yeah. Good. Like little like squid, little...
Alive?
Look,
Assume not.
You'd hope. Probably
not alive, because that would be a
Animal
massive
welfare.
animal welfare
Oh, yeah, because
violation.
if you kill them and then do it, that's
Yeah, it's
sort of-
different. That's
Well,
that's
I don't think
humane.
I mean,
Yeah.
in fairness, I don't think they're like octopus fishermen,
Right,
fisherwomen. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
they're, purchasing. Anyway, in Toronto, some of the Maple Leafs fans, they throw waffles onto the ice. But how about
not
this?
the maple to go with it though, which is always sad for the players.
San Jose Sharks fans
Yeah.
once threw a real leopard shark onto the ice during a playoff against the Detroit Red Wings because the Red Wings were doing the octopus thing and they thought they'd do the shark thing.
Right.
The elaborate plan involved smuggling the shark into the arena under a trench coat.
Gee, that must have been one hell of a trench coat. Wow. I
So
love that this is...
what I'm saying is cycling fans, up your game. Firstly, don't throw it at them.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're going to be creative, like chips, really? Like these people brought a shark under a trench coat. So
Can I just interject? Suggesting throwing a live shark into the final kilometre of a stage, probably not the best. That's a big speed
definitely.
bump for the sprinters.
And this one's for you, Scott McGrory. I know you're not the biggest fan of other swimming disciplines other than freestyle. If we see you carrying a live shark
At
under
the
a
pool.
trench coat into the swimming in Paris, we'll have security
McGrory.
onto that.
Yeah, don't throw a live shark into the pool. Okay, look, we'll workshop it. And the one I was talking about was 88. Wally Lewis got sent off at Lang Park, and everyone just decided to throw their full or near full beer
Did they?
can.
Yeah. It was a pig pen. It was
Yeah,
madness.
It was
Oh
awful.
my God.
Didn't your mum throw something on the stage at a Johnny Farnham concert?
No,
What was that?
my
What-
mum
what?
Was that
did
an
not.
octopus or was it?
A
Oh
garment?
my God, no.
Knickers, I don't know.
Oh, Jude.
They were not her knickers.
Oh, she threw someone
She
else's
told.
knickers.
Oh, sorry, guys. No,
This is legendary.
with
story.
all absolute respect to my mother and the other women who were very enamoured by Johnny
Sure.
Farnham,
Oh,
Yeah, good looking dude.
she was at a concert where bras and panties were being hoiked at Johnny Farnham.
So it was her bra.
Look, she has never said it was her,
We need to
and
get
I
her
have
on the
not.
show.
Has she ever said it
inquired
wasn't
further.
her?
Love you, Jude. I'm so sorry.
She's never confirmed nor denied
No, but
these
can
allegations.
we? Let's move on.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Fantastic. How to be a good fan.
Although,
That's
you know,
a good
they'd be
question.
probably better received at the tour than Crisps. Anyway,
Have
moving
you
on.
ever thrown anything on a stage?
I have not.
No. I mean, stage race, I meant, not a.
No,
Like Johnny
neither.
Farnham.
You talk about fans
Neither.
having too much. Just quickly on that, on the Wally Lewis one. In those days, the sin bins were only 5 minutes. So he was sent off for 5 minutes, and that prompted the biggest temper tantrum
king.
from a stadium you'll ever see. And as I said, the cans were a lot. They were very, very difficult to squash. They were harder projectiles back then. Most of them full. The neighbouring brewery at 4X, the PR team, they're sitting there going, oh, shit, this isn't going to be good. Turns out it actually was really, really good for the brand. People got behind it. They got caught up in that whole Origin thing. It gave the can sales a lovely little boost. That's an actual
Oh,
thing.
there you go. Drink it, don't
Yep.
throw it.
I mean, Peter Sagan threw a bidding at me. Still down
He
under.
did. We've still got it. It is like all chewed and mangled
Yeah,
and
it's the-
Yeah.
really, really should be thrown out.
Yeah.
But
no.
I chew it when
Put
I
it
go
in
to
a glass
sleep.
container on a plinth and light it up.
Yeah.
It's like a beautiful exhibit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Women's Giro riders giving some sage advice. And just quickly,
Yep.
cousin Jonas as well. I just want to quickly mention his point on the back of the chip throwing. If you're going to go to a race or a sporting event anywhere around the world at any time, why boo? Says Jonas. He doesn't
Why boo?
understand all the booing. So why don't you just
Oh.
come and cheer for everyone?
he's a pacifist,
Oh,
you know.
that's just not gonna.
He
that's
really
not gonna
is.
happen, cousin.
I mean, pop him on the front of a Greenpeace ship and off you go.
He's an absolute
He
warrior.
really is.
Rainbow warrior.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, the ladies tackled it a bit differently at the Giro, this whole bad fan
Yeah.
behaviour. They just put a video out because their social media was so good about, you know, what the do's and the don'ts of
Yeah,
fan
how to be a
behaviour.
good fan.
Yeah.
Sure.
How to be a good fan, cheer.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, hold signs.
Yeah, yep.
How
Don't
to
throw
not
chips.
Throw chips.
Okay.
Don't get all up in their face.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, the girls.
That's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
pretty well. What Women's Giro? We're
Yep.
on it. You're.
All right, well,
You've
we're
been
on
enjoying the coverage.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Let's skip ahead.
Okay.
Yes, the Women's Giro this year was so damn exciting. With
Mhm.
one stage to go, there was 1 second between first and second,
Wow.
with Eliza Longo-Borghini and Lotte Kopecky sitting in second. I think what was so magical about it for me was the fact that Lotte Kopecky, as world champion, was not expected to climb that well. She was expected to climb pretty well, but to be able to climb up some big mountains, including the Blockhouse, with Longo-Borghini, the amount of power that she puts out,
Yeah.
bearing in mind there's about a 7 kilo differential in weight, to keep up on those climbs, like just mind-blowing. then it occurred to me that for some of the riders, Longo Borghini, Neve Bradbury is an example, for Longo Borghini, Olympics is next, but then the Tour de France Femme is, the big one. But for Kopecky, she's not riding that. She's now all marching toward the Olympics. So
Look out world, okay.
Look out world. But
Yeah.
So Neve Bradbury won the stage up to the Blockhouse. It was so incredible. The last time the Giro went up there for the fellas, the women have never been up there before.
Yeah.
Jai Hindley won.
Boom.
So it was like this beautiful, and in fact, on the Wheelhouse, we said to the Giro social media, Neve's going to win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jai did it, Neve's going to do it. And
Easy.
she did. Tremendous ride. She didn't win because Longo Borghini and Kopecky and others were looking at each other and they let her get away. They fought so hard to get her back and they couldn't. She ended up winning the stage by about 45 seconds. Magical to see an Aussie win a Grand Tour stage. Absolutely magical. We're really missing Amanda Spratt there. She's been on the podium twice in the GC before. And, I think Spratty, she said to me she was missing being there and watching the mountains. But to have Bradbury step up, like just a huge accomplishment.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the best bit about it was she's had a tremendous season so far. Second at the UEA Tour, UAE, and also second at Tour of Swiss behind Demi Vollering.
Yeah.
Big results, right? Like you'd think that would
She's
give you a
doing
bit of
okay,
confidence. It was only after this that she said, this makes me think that
I belong.
I can do it. I belong.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible?
And that those other ones weren't lucky, but that actually I'm good enough.
Yeah, yeah. Coming into that peloton, it's so young, so raw, alongside some like in an era where there are a number of living legends still competing. That self-doubt and that imposter syndrome would be really, really strong. And those results she's had early. I will say, a lot of people say it really began, like for Neve, our mate, winning the rainbows.
Yeah.
Obviously the under-23s in Wollongong.
The other Neve.
The other Neve. It didn't. It began after being mentioned on the Wheelhouse podcast.
Oh,
and
totally.
I think it's the same here as well because we've given her a few mentions.
I've gotten a lot of joy out of seeing the posts from her dad, Hayden, who was a bike rider in his day. And these beautiful posts of when she was young and he would take her riding.
Awesome.
And he calls her Nifty. And it's beautiful. It's history. It reminds you of the humanity behind it.
It's lovely.
And we touch back on that all the time, but I'm a very big Neve Bradbury fan.
Love Neve Bradbury.
She's a really quirky character and an exceptionally talented athlete.
Yep.
And
she's coming on the show.
Things to come.
Merksy, you've booked her for next week? Is that right, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to
she's
make it happen.
Pretty softly spoken.
Yeah.
So I think we might need to leave gaps for her to actually chat amongst our banter.
Good luck. Good luck getting a word in here. We'll see.
But it wasn't just history for the Aussies because we touched on it last week.
Yeah.
The other Neve, she won a stage. First time a Kiwi has won a stage. We had the first time a Mauritian rider from Mauritius, has won a stage, and that was in Kim LaCourte. But what was a little bit curious at the beginning of the Giro when Lotte Kopecky hadn't yet become the incumbent points jersey wearer was her Mauritius national champion jersey looks incredibly similar to the World Champions jersey.
Yes.
And that's by design of flag. So they haven't been cheeky in doing that. It matches the flag of Mauritius.
Yeah.
But unless you were paying really close attention, it looked like there were two world champions.
Two world champions riding.
And then it got even more confusing when Kopecky was in the red and you knew that you could see Kopecky, but then you felt like you could still see a world champion.
Yeah, that's difficult.
But yeah, history, they've never had a winner from Mauritius before, so...
That's fun. What a year. I hope, I will say it again, I really hope the UCI and whatnot are taking note of these beautiful global, these firsts that we're seeing. We're seeing Mauritius, Africa. We're seeing all these lovely things happen.
And a question was brought up around the jerseys and the hierarchy. And this has been at the Tour and at the Women's Giro. So Kopecky is world champion, but she was wearing the points jersey, and so she wore red instead of wearing her rainbow jersey.
To throw off potato men,
but
basically. Yeah.
But if Longo Borghini, who's the incumbent in the Maglia Rosa, if she was also the leader in the points competition and Kopecky was only wearing it as the person in second because all the jerseys need to be worn, in that case, hold on to your hats, she would actually wear the rainbow jersey because the rainbow jersey in hierarchy is higher than second place in a sub-jersey. Right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So when you are watching and you are seeing them in their jerseys, you really shouldn't assume
no.
that they're the leader of the competition. The
Yeah.
only person you can assume is the leader is the Maglia Rosa or the Maillot Jaune. After that, you've got to do a little bit of research.
You've got to do a little bit of deep diving.
Yeah, so over in France, Jonas is wearing the polka dot. He is not leading that competition. That is being led by
Well, Pog,
the Pog.
What are you going to choose?
But would you be, is it a bit of a kick in the guts for Jonas?
I think he's too nice to be affected by that sort of stuff. I think he would be a bit of a sensitive soul, but he'd be like, oh my God, you gave me a jersey. That's so lovely of you. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Well, but in saying that, he's not embracing it like Norwegian Abrahamsen was.
Good point.
He was helmet, jersey, nicks, gloves, socks, all in the polka dots.
There's definitely a little bit of a indignity about it when you're the red hot second favourite.
Yeah, he's just wearing the jersey. There's no socks, gloves, helmet, nicks.
Well, that's very much saying you are. Here's your arm's length for you. You get to wear this, but guess what? You're not wearing. And fair enough, you're behind.
Well,
so
and a couch peloton shout out to Anna there because a couple of years ago when we were Bonjour Le Touring in the studio. And in fact, we crafted the children-made jerseys for you to do a bit of a jersey explainer. Yes. We'll see if we could unearth that. That was very funny.
They were great.
But Anna reminded us that it was not the polka dot jersey because Aussies call it the polka dot. Polka.
Polka.
Polka dot.
There's an L in there.
There's an L in there.
Polka.
Thank you, Anna. Polka.
Polka.
Keeping us online.
There's always an L in polka.
I need to send Anna my...
Can we just say polka because we're...
My start list for the Olympics so she can help me with pronunciation.
8 nations.
Keep me honest.
Maybe we need her help with that
we are off the podium. We are sitting in 4th. And that is entirely because Girmay had a whoopsie at the roundabout.
What's the time gap for us?
We're within reach.
Great. Inside 3 minutes?
Oh,
not
absolutely.
Jai's 45. We're more like...
No, but
Jonas is 3.
Look, in fairness to Jai and to... quickly go to the Aussie Watch before we wrap it up in here. We have 5 Aussies left. Chris Harper out with COVID.
Yeah.
He's not the only one. There's quite a few big names dropping from that, which is it's very disappointing for them. Geraint Thomas has said he does have COVID, but he's riding on.
Of course he is.
Of course
he is. Hold my beer, says
so
GT.
We've got Hindley, Jack Haig is still in there as well. Hindley's our best placed Aussie. He's in the top 20.
He's in the top 20,
so
absolutely.
We joke about 45 minutes down, but he's 18th overall. So.
I joke with the utmost respect and love. You are racing against an actual Terminator.
And then at the other end with Mark Cavendish is Jared Drisner.
I like Cav's on. Like he's sort of, you know what? 36.
I tell you what,
I'm okay without it.
So Drisner's, he's had a tough tour, and we are sending all our best to him because what a way to get hurled in, right? But what an experience he's having in Cavendish's, we expect, final tour to be hanging out with him for hours and hours at a time.
Is Cav going to see out the rest of the?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, it's going to be a tough ride in, though. There's some big mountains to come, but I think he'll see it out.
Well, you know what? Good to have Drisner's on his
He deserves
on his
the
wheel
party
saying, come on, mate,
in
you
Nice.
can do this.
Yeah, so this. Look, for the Aussie guys, it's been a bit of a tough tour, but
it's all right.
We're
fine.
with them. Great stage potential for Michael Matthews in a couple of days, and then, of course, Olympics for him. So
I love it. To quote Alfred Pennyworth, why do we fall, sir? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. That's what the Aussies are doing this
Hold on,
year.
Alfred who?
Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's butler. Batman's butler.
Got it.
Now, we've spoken about fan behaviour being a little bit out of whack, but what about when those animals get stuck into things, Kate?
And we're not talking about sharks.
Coming up next, finance and weather, and a bear who got a little bit too cute. No, anyway, what's happening in Romania? I love this.
we like to finish a show with
It's a
something,
kicker.
with a good news story.
Yeah.
And well,
Give you a
this
little
is
kick.
not good news for Jasper Hayes. Now,
No.
and this is coming
To
from.
be fair, it could be a lot worse.
It could be from the Escape Collective. Geez, they do good stories. They do the tech analysis, but they find the wonderfully random stuff. Now, at the Tour of Romania, the guys were off at after the race, standing outside the team bus, getting changed, all their bags, and they happened to be in a forest. Now, if you are familiar with the flora and fauna of Romania, you will know that there is a lot of, I think they're brown bears. Anywho, a mother and 2 cubs come wandering out and straight towards the riders. They run onto the bus with their bags to get to safety. Jasper Hayes left his bag out there. The 3 bears then proceeded to pretty much eat the bag and everything in it. And all the clothes got shredded, all the food got eaten. You don't really go to a bike race thinking, like when you're leaving home and you're packing, when I repack my bag for the Olympics, I'm not packing a second suitcase just in case a bear
eats your stuff.
the first one.
Yeah.
So, keep safe, people.
You can stay vigilant. You got to be ready for
stay
anything.
vigilant, exactly.
Yeah. You know what? Could have been him that didn't get on the bus, so that's okay. We're okay with that. Fair enough.
That's true.
Don't forget you can win this bike.
Yeah, so
Yes.
our friends at Bike Bug, who are plastered all over the tour this year,
It's so good to see.
are giving away just a nothing much, just a cheeky bike. It's
A podge bike.
Yeah, just a
a Colnago V4 RS. All you have to do is go to bikebug.com/win, put in the code TDF bike on any purchase between now and 11:59 p.m. on the 19th of August, which is the end of the Tour de France Femme, and you will go in to win. We are drawing the winner here on the Wheelhouse, so we're very, very excited about that. Purchase anything. Can I suggest, if you're planning to do the Brisbane to Gold Coast with us, that you purchase some food, some gels, some carbohydrate solution, and some water bottles.
3 potatoes.
Because I don't really think this is practical in your back pocket. And again, to clarify, this is not breakfast. Before you go, this is on the bike.
Yeah, right.
So that's
You'd
my
put all of that
idea.
into a blender, though. And
Purchase that and then win the bike you can ride the Brisbane to Gold Coast on.
Dare, get involved. Get it done. That's fantastic.
Get it done.
Okay. TDF Bike is that code, bikebug.com.
Yep.
Thank you for your support. Looking forward to drawing that one. I think who's Luke? Merksy will have to. Sorry, Luke. I was the guy I met earlier that we were chatting. Merksy will have to draw that one to avoid any hints of corruption, skullduggery. Because I'd really like that bike. I'm going to be completely
Do you think
honest.
you could eat a potato like an apple?
I'm not going to find out. No. And I'm happy to watch you if you want to find out, but I'm not. That's not happening.
I feel like I need to Google whether that's safe.
Just
or not
ask Tony
before I do
Abbott.
it.
Yeah, the onion man.
Oh, onion. In my head I thought tomato, but
Had a bite out of a brown onion, and then it's like, oh, delicious.
Maybe
Yay,
a little
farmers.
bit of honey on here.
Yep. Like, share, subscribe, tell everyone you know. We'll be back in a different location next week.
Don't eat raw potatoes.